Hello everyone, and welcome to my CBS Y&R Full Today channel. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Claire and Kyle's young and restless reunion is doomed before it indeed takes hold. Thence why heading back to her partner, as Audra put it, seems imminent for young and restless Claire, who was cozying up to Kyle shortly after putting Holden out to pasturage. But what she doesn't know could surely doom their chances. Claire gave Holden the all-heave-ho after he refused to hand over the missing pieces to the riddle of the art dealer's exposure to her. We're not sure why he won't tell Claire, given Holden was acting in tone defense and the accidental dealer death wasn't anywhere near as heinous as her soliciting her own family members to their sinuous deaths by poisoning or orchestrating Aunt Jordan's deliberate death by Detonate. But then we are Claire Holden Y&R. Despite all of those effects, and being a Newman, Claire's now the tone-appointed bill girl for pure intentions and holds everyone she interacts with to the same standard. We can't help but suppose it's going to be a rough road for her in a city like Genoa City, where secrets pullulate. Which brings us to Kyle and the reason their brewing reunion is doomed. Claire Kyle Y&R would take any bet Billy Abbott could offer that Kyle hasn't learned his assignment about withholding effects from Claire, and will keep the one secret that will inescapably come out and prove to be a deal swell for their renewed relationship. That being Kyle kissed Audra on Valentine's Day. Passionately. Kyle Audra kiss Y&R. There's why this is a problem on further than one position. Utmost egregious. Kyle will presumably conspire with Audra to keep it hidden from Claire, because, as we mentioned, he no way learns that honesty is the stylish policy. Especially when your gal acts like a morality bobby and just ditched the last Joe for not coming clean. Kyle Claire Y&R. Secondly, Kyle kissed Audra. He presumably could have planted one on anyone differently in the entire world and Claire could have stomached it. After all, she was out in LA with Holden and they were broken up. But Audra is her Achilles heel and the last person she'd want him to lock lips with, and she ain't gonna buy that he did it to show her what she was missing or educate her assignment or any similar reason. Why? Because Kyle and Audra have chemistry out the wazoo. He wanted to kiss her. Indeed, if all you saw was the brace of them gagging it up over the idea of Nikki Newman having to vend her jewelry, you'd see the sparks. Claire is a lot of effects, but stupid isn't one of them. Wisecrack me formally and all that. Plus, it was Valentine's Day, which adds personality to injury. Yeah, the outlook isn't good. Kyle Audra Y&R. Claire and Kyle may get back together, but a stunner is staying to crump that will nearly clearly doom the reunion in short order. Who have you got in this particular love sweepstakes? Vote. Claire Newman and Kyle Abbott have always felt like a pairing erected on equal corridor magnet and insecurity, and in the ever-churning emotional geography of the young and the restless, that's infrequently a form for long-term happiness. Their brewing reunion may look romantic on the face, an alternate chance, a clean slate, a hopeful reset after misconstructions and mistakes, but beneath that lustrous veneer lies a verity neither of them seems completely set to defy. In Genoa City, secrets doen't stay buried, and history doesn't still fade down. Rather, it circles back with perfect timing, generally when hearts are most vulnerable. Claire, who has worked lifelessly to rebrand herself from worried manipulator to innocently upright heroine, may believe she's stepping into a relationship defined by honesty and growth. Unfortunately, the reality is far murkier, and the shadow of Kyle's Valentine's Day kiss with Audra threatens to outdo everything before it truly begins. Claire's metamorphosis has been one of the further controversial bends in recent memory. Once able of orchestrating deeply disturbing schemes against her own birth, she now presents herself as the personification of integrity, a woman who demands translucency and refuses to tolerate deception. Her bifurcation with Holden proved that point. When he withheld crucial details about the art dealer's exposure, she cut him loose without vacillation. To Claire, deletions are backstabbings, and trust is non-negotiable. That rigid station may give her a sense of control, but in a city erected on half-trueness and strategic silence, it also sets her up for ineluctable heartache. Especially when she gravitates back toward a man who has no way relatively learned the art of full exposure. Kyle Abbott, heir at law to the Abbott heritage and perpetual romantic optimist, operates from a different emotional playbook. As the son of Jack Abbott, he grew up watching power struggles faint as family fidelity and commercial chess games disguised as love. He learned beforehand that timing matters, that occasionally withholding information feels like protection rather than dishonesty. But that vindication has bring him ahead, and it's poised to bring him again. Because Kyle did kiss Audra. Not a transitory, accidental encounter of lips. A deliberate, passionate, Valentine's Day kiss. And intent matters. Audra Charles has long been Claire's Achilles heel. There's an implied contest there. A blend of instability, territorial instinct, and inarguable chemistry between Audra and Kyle that makes Claire uneasy. Audra doesn't just represent temptation, she represents a trouble. She's confident, sharp-tongued, emotionally intrepid. When she and Kyle partake a scene, sparks fly whether they intend them to or not. Their sportful badinage about Nikki Newman's jewelry liquidation may have sounded inoffensive, but subtext screamed louder than dialogue. Anyone watching could see it undetermined magnet stewing just below the face. And Claire, for all her eyeless spots, isn't naive. The fact that the kiss happened on Valentine's Day amplifies the damage. That date carries emblematic weight. Love, exclusivity, devotion. Indeed, if Claire and Kyle were technically separated, optics matter. Emotion matters. Claire won't see an inoffensive lapse. She'll see evidence that Kyle's passions are divided. And if she discovers that he chose to hide it, worse, if he and Audra conspired to keep it buried, the treason will multiply. Because in Claire's worldview, the cover-up is always worse than the crime. There's also the matter of Kyle's pattern. He has a history of believing he can manage fallout through charm and timing. He convinces himself that silence buys him space to fix effects. But in Genoa City, secrets operate like ticking bias. The longer they are concealed, the more explosive the disclosure. And with players like Audra in the blend, exposure feels ineluctable. Audra isn't one to still shoulder emotional burdens. If revealing the verity benefits her, strategically or romantically, she won't vacillate. She's realistic in ways Claire refuses to be. Also, there's the Newman factor. Being part of the Newman dynasty means living under scrutiny and anticipation. Claire carries the weight of that heritage indeed as she tries to part herself from its darker chapters. Reuniting with Kyle could emblematize redemption, a public protestation that she's able of healthy love. But if that relationship implodes because of deception, it reinforces the narrative she's hopeless to overrun, that chaos follows her. That destruction is no way far before. Emotionally, Claire and Kyle operate at cross purposes. Claire seeks moral clarity, Kyle seeks emotional comfort. Claire tests fidelity, Kyle assumes affection smooths over fractures. Those mismatched instincts produce disunion long before any external hindrance. Add Audra's presence, glamorous, unapologetic, complicated, and the equation tilts toward disaster. The real tragedy is that there's genuine affection between Claire and Kyle. Their connection isn't manufactured. There are participated laughs, participated vulnerabilities, moments that feel sincere. But sincerity doesn't neutralize secrets. And trust, formally cracked, infrequently reveals without visible seams. Claire's wisecrack-me formally intelligence leaves little room for nuance. She won't estimate the environment, she'll judge the act. Especially when the act involves the one woman she perceives as a rival. In the grand tradition of the young and the restless liar, reunions frequently arrive wrapped in stopgap and unravel in spectacular fashion. The Penns understand expectation. They make craving, suspend conciliation, and also crump verity at precisely the wrong moment. Claire and Kyle's implicit reunion feels finagled for that veritably line. The followership can see the storm shadows gathering indeed as the characters lounge in temporary sun. So who eventually holds the advantage in this romantic sweepstakes? Audra, maybe, because she plays the long game without pretending else. Claire risks everything on principle. Kyle risks everything on impulse. That imbalance ensures volatility. And volatility makes for engaging TV. Whether Claire and Kyle officially reunite or not, the Valentine's Day kiss looms like a narrative landmine. It's only a matter of when, not if, it explodes. When it does, the fallout won't just test their relationship, it'll expose whether Claire's redemption bow has truly reshaped her capacity for remission, and whether Kyle has eventually learned that honesty isn't voluntary. In Genoa City, love stories do'n't fail still. They blaze. And this bone formally smells like bank. What makes the impending collapse of Claire and Kyle's reunion even more compelling is the psychological layering behind it. This isn't just about a kiss. It's about identity, ego, power, and the fragile illusion of control. On the young and the restless, romance rarely exists in isolation. It's tethered to family legacy, corporate influence, and personal redemption arcs that are constantly under scrutiny. Claire doesn't just want Kyle back. She wants proof that she has evolved beyond her darkest chapter. Kyle doesn't just want Claire back. He wants the comfort of a connection that feels intense, validating, and familiar. But wanting something and being ready for it are two very different things. Claire's greatest vulnerability is the rigidity of her moral framework. After everything she's done, she clings to righteousness like armor. She has convinced herself that she's operating from a place of clarity and high standards. Dumping Holden for withholding information reinforced that narrative. She told herself she was choosing transparency over confusion, integrity over ambiguity. But the problem with absolutism is that it leaves no room for human complexity. People make mistakes. They falter. They rationalize. And in Genoa City, they often act first and justify later. Claire's intolerance for imperfection may ultimately isolate her more than protect her. Kyle, meanwhile, exists in a state of emotional contradiction. As the son of Jack Abbott, he grew up absorbing lessons about loyalty and pride, but also about strategic silence. The Abbotts pride themselves on family unity, yet they've navigated countless secrets, corporate betrayals, and personal missteps. Kyle has internalized the idea that sometimes the truth can wait, that timing is everything. But relationships don't thrive on delayed honesty. They fracture under it. His kiss with Audra wasn't premeditated in a villainous sense, but it wasn't accidental either. It came from desire, from unresolved chemistry, from ego. And if he convinces himself it meant nothing, that self-deception will only deepen the damage. Audra's role in all of this cannot be understated. She isn't a passive third party. She's an active force. She understands leverage. She understands emotional currency. And she knows that her connection with Kyle unsettles Claire in a way few other things can. There's a spark between Audra and Kyle that feels effortless, playful, sharp, instinctive. When they share scenes, it's less about nostalgia and more about electricity. Claire senses that, even if she doesn't articulate it. That's why the kiss cuts deeper than a random lapse would have. It validates her worst suspicion, that she and Audra are not equals in Kyle's emotional hierarchy. The Valentine's Day timing adds layers of symbolism that Claire won't be able to ignore. That holiday isn't neutral. It's a declaration. Even if Kyle insists it was meaningless, the context undermines his argument. Valentine's Day represents exclusivity, romantic intent, emotional prioritization. Claire will inevitably interpret it as proof that Kyle's heart wasn't where she believed it was. And if she discovers the truth through someone else, especially Audra, the humiliation factor multiplies. Public embarrassment in a town like Genoa City lingers. There's also the meta-narrative tension at play. Claire has been positioning herself as the reformed Newman, distancing herself from the manipulative tactics that once defined her. Yet her relationship choices keep pulling her back into messy, emotionally volatile territory. Being part of the Newman dynasty means existing under the shadow of power and controversy. While she may not operate with the ruthless precision of Victor Newman, the association alone shapes how others perceive her. If her reunion with Kyle collapses because of secrecy and rivalry, critics within her own circle will quietly question whether she truly changed, or merely rebranded. Kyle's blind spot has always been his belief that charm can smooth over fractures. He tends to underestimate the emotional intelligence of the women he's involved with. Claire is perceptive. She notices micro-expressions, tonal shifts, lingering glances. The more Kyle attempts to behave normally, the more she'll sense something off. Secrets have a way of altering body language. They create distance in subtle ways, a hesitation before touch, an overcompensating reassurance, a shift in eye contact. Claire will pick up on it, and once suspicion sets in, she won't let it go. And what of Audra? She's unlikely to carry guilt in silence. If keeping the kiss hidden benefits her strategically, she might play along temporarily. But if revealing it gives her an edge, whether to destabilize Claire or to test Kyle's loyalty, She won't hesitate. Audra doesn't fear chaos, she navigates it. In many ways, she thrives in it. That makes her unpredictable, which is precisely what makes Claire anxious. You can prepare for honesty. You can't prepare for opportunistic truth-telling. There's an argument to be made that Claire and Kyle are drawn to each other because they represent unfinished business. Their connection is intense but rarely stable. They oscillate between closeness and conflict, between reassurance and suspicion. That cycle can feel intoxicating, especially in a town where emotional highs are dramatic and public. But cycles eventually exhaust even the most passionate participants. If this reunion detonates quickly, it may finally force them to confront whether their bond is rooted in compatibility or simply chemistry amplified by circumstance. Family reactions will only complicate matters. The Abbotts and Newmans rarely observe romantic developments quietly. Opinions will surface. Advice will be offered, solicited or not. If the truth about the kiss becomes common knowledge, it won't remain confined to the trio involved. It will ripple outward, affecting alliances and perceptions. Claire's pride won't allow her to appear foolish. Kyle's pride won't allow him to appear weak. And Audra's pride won't allow her to appear irrelevant. Pride, in soap storytelling, is combustible. Another crucial factor is timing within the broader narrative landscape of the young and the restless. Reunions that occur too smoothly often signal impending disruption. Writers build anticipation not to reward characters with stability, but to heighten the impact of fallout. Viewers are being positioned to hope, cautiously, for Claire and Kyle's fresh start. That hope becomes narrative fuel. When the revelation hits, it won't just shock Claire. It will validate the audience's uneasy intuition. Claire's reaction will likely hinge on one question. Did Kyle intend to tell her? If she believes he planned to come clean but struggled with timing, there may be space, however narrow, for reconciliation. But if evidence suggests he actively collaborated with Audra to conceal it, forgiveness becomes improbable. Claire's self-image depends on not tolerating deception. Backtracking on that principle would feel like regression, something she desperately wants to avoid. For Kyle, the looming crisis presents a crossroads. He can choose preemptive honesty and risk immediate fallout, or continue delaying and risk catastrophic exposure. Historically, he leans toward delay. But growth arcs demand disruption. If he truly wants a different outcome, he must break his pattern. Whether he's capable of that remains uncertain. The deeper irony is that the kiss itself, while significant, might have been survivable if addressed transparently. It's the secrecy, the shared understanding between Kyle and Audra, that transforms it into a ticking bomb. Secrets create intimacy. Even negative secrets bond the people who share them. If Claire senses that Kyle and Audra hold something together that excludes her, that emotional exclusion may hurt more than the act itself. In the end, Claire and Kyle's reunion feels less like a new beginning and more like a final test. Can they redefine themselves outside old habits? Can Claire balance principle with empathy? Can Kyle prioritize honesty over comfort? And can Audra resist the temptation to weaponize the truth? In Genoa City, answers rarely arrive gently. When this particular bombshell detonates, it will force every character involved to confront not just what happened, but who they are when confronted with the consequences. Love in this world is rarely undone by lack of feeling. It's undone by pride, secrecy, and the stubborn refusal to evolve. Claire and Kyle may believe they are stepping into a hopeful chapter, but the fuse is already lit, and the clock is ticking. If there's one thing longtime viewers of The Young and the Restless understand, it's that emotional timing is everything. Claire and Kyle aren't just battling a secret, they're battling momentum. Right now, momentum is on their side. There's nostalgia, longing, and that intoxicating sense of what if we finally get it right. Those early reunion scenes are always soft around the edges. Meaningful glances, quieter voices, vulnerability framed as growth. But that softness is precisely what makes the eventual impact harsher. The higher the emotional rebuild, the sharper the collapse. Claire is walking into this with the belief that she holds the moral high ground. After cutting Holden loose for withholding information, she reinforced her boundary, honesty or nothing. That line in the sand feels empowering, until the person across from her fails the same test. If Kyle's kiss with Audra comes out after Claire has publicly recommitted to him, the humiliation factor doubles. She won't just feel betrayed, she'll feel exposed. In her mind, she will have vouched for him. She will have defended him. And Claire does not take kindly to looking foolish. There's also the uncomfortable truth that part of Claire may already suspect something. Intuition plays a powerful role in her character. She's observant. She reads subtext. When Kyle and Audra are in the same orbit, the air changes. It's not subtle. Even their arguments carry an undercurrent of attraction. If Claire senses that energy and chooses to ignore it in favor of optimism, the betrayal will feel partly self-inflicted, and that can trigger even stronger anger. Because then she isn't just angry at Kyle. She's angry at herself for ignoring red flags. For Kyle, the emotion